Hey guys, what's up? It's Leo Gabriel here with RevitalizeYourself.com. If you're someone who's having a hard time getting your greens in your diet, then you better listen up these next couple minutes. I'm going to show you how to do it, how to make it easier. So really, to get your greens in, a lot of us, we don't like them. We don't like the taste, we don't like the bitterness. In general, literally from when we're young, we're told, you gotta eat your greens, you gotta eat your greens. And we don't like it. We're just forced to either because our mothers and our fathers made us. But at the end of the day, we all know that if it's a diet that you can't sustain in the long term, if it's a diet that you can't sustain indefinitely, it's probably not a diet that you're gonna maintain indefinitely or long term, and it's not gonna give you the long-term results and long-term health goals we all crave. So, how can we incorporate greens in a way that we can enjoy more? Here's how we do it. A common way you'll see it done is through a shake. Sometimes we'll make a shake using we've got baby kale, baby spinach, any other dark greens. We'll throw it in and we'll make a smoothie. And that's a great idea, but you want to make sure that the shake tastes good, because if it doesn't taste good, you're not going to enjoy it, you're not going to eat it long term. So when you're making these shakes, try to incorporate a source of healthy fat and protein. That's not only going to make the shake taste better, but it's also going to help you absorb some of the fat-soluble nutrients in these greens, help you absorb more nutrients in general. Because at the end of the day, it's almost not necessarily just about what you eat, it's what you absorb. So when you're making your shake, on top of your bitter greens, include something that's fattening, something that's creamy, even some heavy whipping cream. Nothing wrong with adding a little bit of heavy cream to your shake. You can make the base out of milk, you can make it out of almond milk, anything like that. Nut butters, especially if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, nut butters are fantastic. Sunflower butter is great, almond butter is great, mixed nut butter. And then, if you do crave a little bit of sweetness, we all do, stick with something that's kind of a little bit low sugar, going for something perhaps like monk fruit, erythritol, something in that regard. Try to avoid throwing a lot of sugar in the shake, because otherwise you're putting so much sugar in the shake, it basically offsets the nutritional benefits of the greens. So, shakes are a great idea. However, if you're wondering what I do to get my greens in, it's actually none of this. I typically don't make shakes, one, because I don't really like to drink my calories. I really prefer to actually taste the bitterness. I generally like foods that are bitter, foods that are spicy, foods that have a kick, foods that have some flavor. I like to be able to taste the natural texture of foods. So in that sense, I don't typically make shakes, on top of the fact that they can sometimes take a while to make, and they in general don't store very well either. I could freeze them and whatnot, but they just don't taste the same unless they're fresh. So let me show you my method of getting my greens in. I mentioned how we want to incorporate the healthy fats into our diet. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook our greens by sauteing them in a healthy fat. So when you're sauteing your greens, you can really choose any fat that you like. A lot of people say that, okay, I don't want fats, fat is all bad. No, fat's not bad. Fat, like I mentioned before, helps us absorb all the fat-soluble vitamins in our food. So what choice of fat are we going to use when we saute the greens? We're going to go over here in just a second and I'll show you how it's done. But you can use really there's different options. So starting with some of the non-animal fats we've got extra virgin olive oil, we've got walnut oil. And typically I don't cook with these oils very often, but when you're sauteing, you're cooking at a very low temperature, which is going to be well below the smoke point of these oils. So when it comes to sauteing, light cooking, walnut oil, olive oil, these more nutrient-dense oils, they actually might be a pretty good alternative. However, if you're looking for something that maybe gives you a little bit more of a kick, a little bit more of a taste, other great options would be grass-fed butter. You would have ghee, clarified butter. Those make for fantastic cooking oils. If you're looking for vitamin K2, the famous Activator X that helps us with our dental health and is really the vitamin that's lacking in our diets, I want to show you what my favorite source of it is. Duck fat. Duck fat is probably one of the most accessible sources of vitamin K2 that you can find on a grocery store shelf. We think of duck fat as bad, we think of it as something that clogs our arteries. It couldn't be further from the truth. And it's a very healthy source of fat, healthy source of vitamin K2. If you're looking for a source of fat, specifically a source of saturated fat, and you're not someone who's a vegetarian, duck fat's a great thing that we can use to saute some of our greens. So, now let's get over to the cooking portion. We're gonna head on over to the stove. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to cook some sauteed spinach. That's going to be a side of our lunch/dinner today. We're going to start with our choice of fat. And for this video, I'm going to use grass-fed butter. It's one of my favorite sources of fat for sauteing. I'm going to take a little bit of this, a little tablespoon worth, and I'll put it on the pan. Let it sizzle a little bit. Lower the heat. Now I'm going to add in my spinach. And you see, this is half a box of spinach right here, 8 ounces. And what's going to happen as we cook it, it's going to shrink. So we're going to get more greens into our diet, but it's going to feel like a lot less. Going to add the spinach in. That should be just about all of it. Cool. Stir it up a little bit. And let it saute under low heat. Now a couple other options you can add. To make stuff taste good, we want to add a little bit of seasoning. So we're going to start with the basic salt and pepper. I'll use my pink Himalaya salt, my favorite salt. Talked about this one before. We'll talk more about it in future videos as well. Add some of that, a little pinch. Pepper. A little black pepper. There we go. And then, being a spicy food lover, I'm also going to add a few chili flakes. And then a little bit of minced garlic. There we go. Cool. Let's put it back. Other things you'll sometimes see added would be chicken stock or vegetable stock, any other kind of stock. Really add any kind of seasoning you want to the spinach, along with your favorite source of fat, whether it's kale, spinach, collard greens. You'll see collard greens a lot of times will be made of perhaps even lard or bacon fat. You'll see a lot of that in the South for sure. Collard greens, spinach, really any bitter green is really fantastic for sauteing. But you can use any seasoning you like. The point is for you to enjoy the food. If you don't enjoy your food, you're not going to be eating it for very long. I've repeated that point several times in this video, but it's oh so important. That's why we're doing this video. I personally don't like to use chicken or any other kind of stock because the vegetables are already fairly liquidy and watery as they are. And as the spinach shrinks and gets smaller, it's also going to become a little bit watery as well. So I'm not a huge fan of adding stock to my greens. It just becomes too watery for me. But do whatever works for you to add flavor. You can add some bouillon to it, some of that powdered stock. So yeah, really find a recipe that you like. And as you can see right now, only after a couple minutes, the spinach is already shrinking. Half a box of spinach isn't even covering half the pan. So it makes it really small, really nice. We're getting all that flavor in there as well. We'll let that saute, put on low heat. I'm gonna add some of those greens to the salmon right here. It's gonna make our dinner. And voila. Got our protein, got our greens, got some healthy fats, and we go about our day. Long story short is, guys, you don't need to eat your greens always raw and bitter. In fact, adding a little bit of fat, cooking them up a little bit, putting them in a shake, it's gonna help you get an overall balanced meal of fats, proteins, and everything else. Fats, proteins, fibers, potassium, vitamins, minerals, you name it. Cook your greens. Put your greens, in a shake. Do whatever you can, but find a way to incorporate them in your diet. For an ideal healthy diet, we really want to be getting at minimum 3 to 5 servings, even better 7 servings of bitter vegetables a day. Hope you guys found this video helpful. If there are certain ways that you guys like to get greens in your diet or certain recipes you like to make with these bitter greens, go ahead and share them below. Let us know what you think. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.